Hi friends, I'm Dave Barklow, pastor at Fort Walton Beach First United Methodist. Welcome to the Pastor's Study, our daily devotional to help us focus our mind on the things of God. We're continuing to look at Jesus' parables, some of which are long, some of which are short, some are biting, some of them require more thought. Today we're going to be looking what is often called the parable of the Pharisee and the publican or tax collector. It comes from Luke 18:9 through 14. He also told this parable to some who trusted in themselves that they were righteous and regarded others with contempt. Two men went up to the temple to pray, one a Pharisee and the other a tax collector. The Pharisee, standing by himself, was praying thus, "God, I thank you that I am not like other people, thieves, rogues, adulterers, or even like this tax collector. I fast twice a week. I give a tenth of all my income." But the tax collector, standing far off, would not even look up to heaven, but was beating his breast and saying, "God, be merciful to me, a sinner." I tell you, this man went to his home justified rather than the other. For all who exalt themselves will be humbled, but all who humble themselves will be exalted. Dr. Callis, whose book we're using, Parables from the Backside, he titles the chapter about this parable, "Why God Doesn't Like Religious People." And he calls us out. He says that we are much more inclined to identify with the tax collector, the sinner, the one who is justified, because we like to imagine ourselves in that kind of humility. But in reality, that too often we are more like the tax collector than we want to admit. He says, "But on the other hand, you and I may resemble the Pharisee more than we like to admit, or than we even realize." Think, for instance, of that common phrase spoken by so many people in the midst of some difficult time, "Why me, Lord?" Let's face it, it's a Pharisee question. The assumption here is that some people, like this tax collector Lord, perhaps deserve to suffer such reversals, but I don't. If misfortune would come to them, we can understand it, because they have it coming to them. But me? Why me, Lord? This Pharisee was the kind of person you would want to have as your next door neighbor. He was religious, but we are so accustomed to seeing the Pharisee as the heavy in this drama that it's almost impossible to put ourselves into his shoes. Dr. Callis points out here, worse yet, we don't recognize ourselves in him. It is probably true that most congregations in our Western world are made up of people who are close kin to the Pharisee. We are a people who congratulate ourselves on now and again on our moral achievement. We don't often do so in the temple as the Pharisee did. Perhaps we don't even do it to a congregation. We do so in reading the newspaper while watching the evening news. Why can't all the world be like me, we say. If it were, there wouldn't be so many troubles. I thank thee, Lord, that I pay my taxes, curb my dog, obey the speed limits. I don't burden society with my drug use. I'm a contributor to society, not a problem. Why can't other people be more like me? The truth is, friends, is we all have a little bit of this Pharisee in us, I think. And God says that we are not justified by our own righteousness, that we cannot do it on our own. The world actually would not be better off if everyone was like us. But rather, when we do approach real life with true humility, knowing that we are in need of God, those are the people that God blesses, that God justifies. Let us try and walk through today, friends, with true humility. I love you. Take care of yourselves and shine the light of Christ.